Hello, today we have the honor of having Peggy Summerhays join us. Peggy has more than 30 years of experience in the technical field, from software development to management and project management in industries that include utilities, education, software, aerospace, and telecommunications. She is currently a senior project manager at Inspirus Credit Union, where she was hired to set up a PMO. Peggy also has 6 years holding leadership positions at the Puget Sound PMI. Hi, Peggy,
Hi.
and thank you so much for joining us today. In addition to the introduction I just gave, can you tell us a little bit more about your background in project management and program management in the information technology industry?
Sure. I actually started earlier in my career as a programmer analyst in the days when most projects didn't have a project manager. So one of the programmers would always take on the role of project manager. Mm-hmm. So that kind of where I got started on it, and then along about the time we finished up Y2K, I moved into more manager role, which was basically a program manager, and I was in charge of all things software at a small utility. So basically I had the software development projects, I had operational projects, I was building up a new help desk type project. Mm-hmm. My business analysts had projects of their own, a number of different things that all kind of made up the whole program.
Okay, great. So do you think project teams need to understand the goals and objectives of an overall program?
I absolutely believe the project team and every individual in the project team needs to understand the goals and objectives. If they don't know what it is the business is trying to accomplish by having this program or needing these projects or this overarching goal, they're not going to be as invested in it. It's just work to them. Whereas if they understand what the ending goal is and how their part plays into that ending goal, it makes for a much more motivated program team or project team or even just the individual. Now, there's always going to be a few individuals that don't really care. Not that they don't care about the ending goal, but mm-hmm. they want to see their piece of the pie done. They're the deep divers, mm-hmm. and you want those people. You know, they'll come around to the goal as long as you tell them what they need to do,
right.
and they deep dive and get the thing done.
Right.
But overall, everybody on the project team needs to know what's going on with the program so they know why they're there.
So what do you think, in your opinion, or in your experience, is the difference between project management and program management?
Well, project management is a small, beginning to end, mm-hmm. specific set of tasks with a specific ending. Now, most programs have a number of projects within them. Sometimes there are even smaller programs within a program. Mm-hmm. And it's, I kind of look at it on a very small level as if you're redoing your entire house. Mm-hmm. You're going to do a total renovation. So painting one room may be your project, whereas the entire renovation would be your program.
Right. There's lots of projects within that program.
Yeah,
right.
It's kind of like putting the symphony together. You know, you jump in here and then you jump in here, mm-hmm. and you all have to get it organized such that people aren't tripping over each other, and you don't have to undo something to get something else done.
That's a great analogy of what a program manager does, right? So in your experience, who is typically accountable for ensuring that the program deliverables align with the business goals and objectives?
Well, when push comes to shove, it comes down to the program manager. They were hired to do this job, to get all the projects aligned. But if you look upline, you need to have sponsors and executives that are going to be supporting that program manager and giving them what they need to be able to accomplish their goal.
Right.
And then conversely, you as a program manager need to make sure your project managers all have what they need in order to accomplish the goal. You need to make sure they're talking to each other. They need to understand the entire plan. It's up to you as a program manager to be able to do that.
Buck stops here, right?
That's right.
So what is your approach to managing scope at the program level?
Well, again, it's like looking at the entire symphony. You know, you bring in your violins here, you stop them. You bring in your oboes here, you stop them. The drums are doing their thing in the background, you keep them going. And while I'm saying that, sometimes a program also includes your operational processes. Just keeping the lights on if you own a piece of a platform. So it's not always just projects. Sometimes it's operational work thrown in there as well. But you need, again, to look at the entire scope. Who are your resources that you have available to do which projects and when? And just looking at the whole thing and making sure everybody's working, making sure all projects are accounted for, all tasks in all projects are accounted for and assigned, and it's just looking at the whole overarching picture and keeping it moving.
Okay. How do you ensure that project teams understand how they fit into a program?
You talk to them. Again, you get on a whiteboard, you show them everything that's going on. You know, show them the entire dashboard of the entire program. All the projects, all the operational pieces, the projects that are in flight, the projects that are sitting back waiting to be happening. You know, how do they fit again with the goals of the company? You need to keep them informed. You know, Project A is being run by so-and-so, and it might run into the same resources that are going to be used for Project C. So you guys need to be talking to each other, and I need to make sure you're talking to each other as the program manager.
Great. And then how do you minimize dependencies between projects within a program?
Again, it's figuring out what all needs to happen, what tasks need to happen, and what you can move around in that big puzzle to make sure that there are fewer dependencies. You're probably not going to always be able to get all of them. And you're still going to have times when you're running into each other and where you just need to be able to put it together where it's going to work out the best. And get your project managers involved in those decisions. If you have to get subject matter experts involved to make those decisions, get all of your information together to make the right decisions on how you're going to put that together.
Yeah, great. And how important do you think programs are in the IT industry?
I've been around the IT industry long enough to have seen some total disasters because there's just kind of a giant bucket of projects with no labels, and they're just sort of dumped out as you go along, prioritized by whoever's hollering the loudest, or, you know, we've got something coming up like SOX. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Sarbanes-Oxley and when it was being implemented back in the early 2000s, and it was like everybody had to adopt this right away. And so it was just these emergency things that make you no money at all and is costing the industry or the business money to make sure you're compliant with this stuff, and you need to account for those. But what hasn't happened for so long and is now being done more often because of tight budgets, and you've got to keep your velocity going while getting a lot of things done, you have to have things organized so that you can get them done in the most efficient manner. You know, if this one's dependent on that one, which is dependent on this, which is dependent on that, you get them lined up, you figure out who's going to be able to work on them so they're not working 80 hours a day on 2 different projects. You need to get that all lined up and running smoothly at the speed of light.
Yeah, great.
And that's something that has been missing in the IT industry for a very long time. And just been the last 5 or so, maybe 10 years, that you see more and more programs being developed within businesses in order to do just that.
Yeah, we like to see that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Peggy, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a delight to be here with you.